If you're watching this, make sure to subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you never miss the next explosive update. What Gayton McKenzie just declared is a rollercoaster you'll want to follow from beginning to end. Gayton McKenzie has dropped a bombshell. South Africa is now facing a full-blown crisis of mafias. He didn't whisper it, he shouted it. He says the country is overrun with mafias and sub-mafias of every description, and he's here not just to warn, but to fight. And believe me, every word demands our attention. McKenzie, now Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture and leader of the Patriotic Alliance, used a public appearance to issue one of his most dramatic declarations yet. We have a crisis here of different mafias and sub-mafias, he said, and he vowed a crackdown on organized crime. He named names: Russia, Serbia, Czech Republic, Japan, Yakuza, Mozambique, Angola, Ethiopia, Nigeria, as countries whose mafias he claims are now running operations inside South Africa, dealing in kidnapping, murder, and other serious crimes. What makes this extra striking is McKenzie's personal story. Once a convicted criminal himself, he spent 8 years in prison starting at age 21 for armed robbery. After prison, he turned himself around, at least publicly. He exposed corruption inside prisons, built a career as a motivational speaker and author, entered politics, and eventually became a minister. So when he says he's coming for the mafias, few can dismiss him as a naive outsider. He claims to have sat down with police intelligence, spoken directly to ministers, and even performed a citizen's arrest to prove he's willing to act. McKenzie paints a bleak picture. He says that over time, criminal networks in South Africa have gone above ground. They're disguised as legitimate businesses, operating with impunity, infiltrating government, commerce, the transport sector, construction, and more. He has in earlier interviews spoken of construction mafia, tow truck mafia, cigarette mafia, taxi mafia, gun smuggling mafia, fuel mafia, kidnapping mafia, drug cartels, escam and home affairs mafias. His message is chilling: if we don't dismantle these gangs, they will dismantle South Africa itself. During the funeral-related events of late Ambassador Nathim Thethwa, McKenzie fused condolences with his bold public commitment to tackling organized crime. He used that moment to remind people of who he is, not just a minister, but a man who's walked through dark corridors, crossed lines, turned lives around, and claims the courage to face dangerous networks head-on. He said, "I am a snitch. I want them to know I'm not scared of them. I am now a government minister. I have crossed sites. I've done floor crossing. I have put many already in jail. I intend to put many of them in jail." To skeptics, his claims open many questions. Can one minister, even one with McKenzie's background and bravado, possibly coordinate across police, intelligence agencies, border control, and financial crime units to dismantle global syndicates? Critics warn that South Africa's policing and governance systems are starved of resources, plagued by corruption, weak oversight, and internal conflicts. McKenzie himself once said the government has lost the fight against crime, and that our government has lost the fight against crime. Yet that very tension is what makes McKenzie's declaration compelling. He doesn't merely promise, he wages part of his identity. His backstory, the transformation from convict to politician, gives the confrontation dramatic weight. For many, it's a cathartic narrative. The man who once stood outside the law now vows to enforce it. But for others, it's a dangerous gamble. What if the rhetoric exceeds the real capacity? What if alliances, influence, and corruption block every path to real change? There's also political context. McKenzie's Patriotic Alliance joined the ANC-led Government of National Unity, GNU, and he occupies a ministerial post. That position gives him some platform but also exposes him to the push and pull of coalition politics, bureaucratic inertia, and vested interests. His bold statements might energize supporters, but they also draw fire from opponents who see risk, posturing, or hypocrisy. Still, his recent remarks have already triggered media buzz, public debate, and renewed demands for law enforcement reforms. If he carries through arrests, prosecutions, dismantling networks, he could reshape public faith in justice. If he fails, critics will say it was grandstanding. But for those watching, every step will be riveting. If you want to stay on top of updates, arrests, responses, leaks, fallout, subscribe and ring the bell. We'll keep tracking this story as it unfolds. Because when a man with this past takes everything proclaiming war on mafias, you know it's going to be wild, messy, dangerous, and history in motion.